PPG கல்வி நிறுவனங்களின் 17வது நிறுவனர் தின விழாவில் உச்சநீதிமன்ற நீதிபதி உஜ்ஜால் புயான் சிறப்பு விருந்தினராக கலந்து கொண்டார். கோவை சரவணம்பட்டி பகுதியில் உள்ள PPG கல்வி நிறுவனங்களின் 17வது நிறுவனர் தின விழா கல்லூரி வளாக அரங்கத்தில் நடைபெற்றது. PPG கல்வி குழுமத்தின் தலைவர் மருத்துவர் LP தங்கவேலு தலைமையில் நடைபெற்ற விழாவில் தாளாளர் சாந்தி தங்கவேலு முன்னிலை வகித்தார். மருத்துவர் ஸ்வேதா அசோக்குமார் விழாவிற்கு வந்த அனைவரையும் வரவேற்று பேசினார். விழாவில் சிறப்பு விருந்தினராக உச்சநீதிமன்ற நீதிபதி உஜ்ஜால் புயான் கலந்து கொண்டு சிறப்புரையாற்றினார். அப்போது பேசிய அவர், சிறிய கிராமத்தில் பிறந்த மருத்துவர் தங்கவேலு அவரது கல்வியால் உயர்ந்த முன்னேற்றத்தை தாம் உள்ளபடியே பாராட்டுவதாக கூறிய அவர், நமக்கு சிறந்த கல்வியை தருபவர்கள் படித்தவர்களாக இருக்க வேண்டிய அவசியமில்லை என்று குறிப்பிட்ட அவர், மருத்துவர் தங்கவேலுவின் தந்தை சிறந்த தொலைநோக்கு பார்வையோடு அவருக்கு இந்த கல்வி பயிலும் வாய்ப்பை அளித்துள்ளதாக குறிப்பிட்டார். நீதி வழங்குவதில் உலகிலேயே சிறந்ததாக இந்திய அரசியல் சாசனம் இருப்பதாக பெருமிதம் தெரிவித்த அவர், நமது இந்திய அரசியல் சாசனத்தில் குறிப்பிட்டுள்ள அனைவரும் சமம் என்பதை இந்திய நீதித்துறை பின்பற்றுவதாக கூறினார். அதனால்தான் இந்தியாவில் ஆண்கள் மற்றும் பெண்களுக்கு நிகராக 3ஆம் பாலினத்தவர்களுக்கும் சமூக அங்கீகாரம் அளித்து சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் தீர்ப்பளித்ததை அவர் சுட்டிக்காட்டினார். தொடர்ந்து பேசிய அவர், இளம் தலைமுறை மாணவர்கள் எதிர்கால சந்ததியினருக்கு நல்ல வழிகாட்டிகளாக இருக்க வேண்டும் என்றும் தெரிவித்தார். தொடர்ந்து நடைபெற்ற விழாவில் சிறந்த மாணவர்கள் மற்றும் ஆசிரியர்களுக்கு விருதுகள் வழங்கப்பட்டன. விழாவில் கௌரவ அழைப்பாளர்களாக KMCH மருத்துவமனையின் தலைவர் நல்லா பழனிசாமி, குமரகுரு கல்வி நிறுவனங்களின் தலைவர் சங்கர் வானவராயர் ஆகியோர் கலந்து கொண்டனர். முன்னதாக முக்கிய விருந்தினர்கள் அனைவரும் கல்லூரி வளாகத்தில் நடைபெற்ற மரம் நடும் விழாவில் பங்கேற்றனர். தொடர்ந்து PPG கல்வி குழுமத்தின் சார்பாக மக்களின் பயன்பாட்டிற்கென்று ஆம்புலன்ஸ் வாகன சேவை துவங்கப்பட்டது. நிகழ்ச்சியின் இறுதியாக PPG கல்வி குழுமத்தின் துணைத் தலைவர் அக்ஷய் தங்கவேல் நன்றி உரை வழங்கினார்.
I have never attended a tenor wedding, so I thought my esteemed colleague in the Supreme Court, Justice N.M. Sundaresh, who hails from this particular region, the neighboring district of Erode, his son is getting married, so he is invited. So I have taken the opportunity to come here. Then Dr. Thangavelu asked me whether I can spare some time and come here. Of course, it will be my pleasure to interact with the faculty and the students of your institution. Because wherever I go, I make it a point to be with the students. There are two reasons for this. I was also Vice Chancellor in Hyderabad. It's a very distinguished University of Law, NALSA. Then I was also associated earlier with the National Law University of Guwahati, then right now in Bangalore and now in Aurangabad. I have two reasons why I like to be with friends, my student friends. First and foremost, students are now in the formative years of their life. They are uncorrupted. Their minds are very clear. Their minds are not vitiated by any prejudice. Therefore, they think or they interact without any malice. They are not influenced by the happenings going on or the machinations going on outside the campus. The difficult life outside the campus doesn't influence it. Therefore, they have that free spirit which I believe should not only be encouraged but should also be nurtured. Only when there is a free spirit, free thinking, then something new, something progressive can come out. So this is one reason why I always like to be with my young friends, that's the students. The second reason, and which is more personal, is that if you stay with young people, you feel young. And it's always nice to have that youngish feeling. People tell me that we have an image of a judge with white hair, a bit elderly. You don't fit into that image of a judge. Well, I can't help it. How can I? What can I do? I'm 60 years of age, but people say you don't look like 60. So that's a different matter. But staying with young people, staying with students particularly, will always help you in having a fresh, clear, uninfluenced, unbiased opinion about things. So therefore, I always advise people that whenever you are in some difficulty, whenever you face cross currents in life, go back to the academy, go back to the university, go back to the library. You will be able to remove all your cobwebs and you will have a clear vision of the road ahead. Coimbatore, this is my second visit. First visit, I just passed through the city. Of course, these fleeting visits, you can't say you know much about this city. But I have great admiration for the great language of Tamil. It is undoubtedly one of the greatest languages of the world. It is a classical language in the true sense of the term. It's a living classical language, unlike say Latin or Sanskrit. It's a living classical language. And it is inhabited, the land of, this land is inhabited by wonderful people. Tamil Nadu has experienced reformist movement throughout the ages. And therefore, it's a very evolved society. It has experienced progressive thinking, progressive ideas. I would not like to, because I am holding some post, I would not like to delve deep into it, but nonetheless, it is a state, it is a society, it is a community which has got much to offer. When I was young, we were very fond of Gemini Circus. I was told that it is from Madras. The circus started from Madras. Of course, it's very unfortunate for various reasons our circus industry has died out. Though there are some still struggling. Madras was the hub of all activities, from manufacturing to business to creativity to art, science, of not only South India, entire India. Even now you will find people from the east, people from the north, even people from the west coming to Coimbatore for their various ailments, Coimbatore, Chennai, Vellore, for treatment. So therefore, it has got something that when you serve people, you serve them not only through your skills, knowledge and skills, but in the process, you generate a lot of empathy. Unless you have empathy for the people, unless you have empathy for the suffering humanity, you will not be able to serve them, whether as a lawyer, whether as a doctor, or even as a judge. I met Dr. Thangavelu at a function of robotic surgeons in Goa. I was then the Chief Justice of Telangana at Hyderabad. And my brother-in-law, Dr. Khanna, he said that they are organizing a conference in Goa regarding robotic surgery. When I heard that in Goa, I said yes. Later I realized that it's a conference of robotic surgeons. What am I going to speak there? I'm from the legal field. What will I speak there? Somehow I spoke there. I'm not going to repeat what I said there. But there I met Dr. Thangavelu, and his speech on law or medicine and law was quite impressive, and I was impressed by that. Later on, we met in Hyderabad also, and thereafter in Delhi we have met, and that's how a kind of friendship has developed. So when he requested me to come here, I simply could not say no. And now coming here, I realized that indeed it's a good decision that I have decided to come here and know and learn about the wonderful things that Dr. Thangavelu and his family are doing here. The number of institutions you can see, I'm not going to name them. He has been able to rise above his medical sphere and venture into other spheres of life. This is very important. As lawyers, we also need to look beyond law. Otherwise, we'll have a very constricted view of things which plague our society. Not all problems that a community faces or a society faces is justiciable. Court cannot dabble into all kinds of problems. There are problems confronting or relating to the ethical side, social side. These are not justiciable. So therefore, it is very essential that one must have a larger vision, a vision which takes you beyond your immediate field of occupation or whatever you may call it. He has done this to commemorate the memory of his father. It's a wonderful thing that he has done. He has mentioned the centenary celebration of my father. He had also gone from here to attend the same. He said his parents were not educated. Well, I have my views. Education need not necessarily mean that a person is knowledgeable or that a person is wise. Our people from the countryside, our people from the villages, they are not that educated as we are, the so-called city folks. But I would say they have much more wisdom, they have much more knowledge. Their collective wisdom, their collective knowledge is much more than what we have. We are basically self-centered. People living in the cities, people living in urban areas, we are concerned with our immediate needs, our family needs, and we are immersed in our own achievements in life. May not be so for our rural people. So therefore, I always say India lives in the villages, and people from the villages are the ones who are there to show us the correct path. In this auditorium, though we have students, but primarily I feel we have people from the medical field. Medicine is not, I am not a stranger to medicine. It's not new to me. My father, though a lawyer, he suffered from diabetes. So therefore, that brought him in close contact with doctors. And he loved medicine so much that he ensured that two of his daughters become doctors, and their husbands are also doctors, and as usual, their children are also doctors, and they are also married doctors. So there's a whole host of doctors there. I have attended quite a few conferences of doctors. One last was when the Medical Society of Mumbai, it was last 24 March, they invited me to speak about medical negligence and the legal perspective. Dr. Thangavailu also spoke about it. He said he used to pray that nothing happens to his patients and that he should not be seen running from court to court. So there I spoke about medical negligence. It's a very live issue. But I can assure the doctors, of course, the various parameters on which a person, a medical professional can be held accountable. There is what is called a Bolam test, which is developed and followed in India also. We need not go into all this. But from the various judgments of the Supreme Court and various high courts, including of the Madras High Court, what is discernible that there is a clear pattern that the courts in India, unlike courts in America, show a great deal of deference to the medical professionals. There is a great deal of respect also for the medical professionals. There are other judgments which brought the medical professional within the ambit of the Consumer Protection Act. But there is a recent judgment of the Supreme Court which has doubted this and said that medical professionals should not be brought, now that they are within the ambit of the Consumer Protection Act. The judgment says that medical professionals should be excluded from the purview of the Consumer Protection Act, since there is a conflicting judgment. One earlier it says they should be brought in, now this judgment says they should be out. So matter will be decided by a larger bench, as is the judicial tradition. This only goes to show that we in the judiciary, we have great respect for the medical profession. And you will find it's only in rare and gross cases that some erring doctors have been hauled up for negligence. Otherwise, generally it is not. In fact, in criminal cases, medical opinion, the opinion of the doctor, very often clinches the case one way or the other. So, from the perspective of the Indian judiciary, and which is unlike the view in the West, we hold the medical profession in very high esteem. Madam Shanti has spoken about me. I started life in Guwahati in the East. Was a judge there for 8 years. And with the blessings of Ma Kamakhya, it's a big temple there, I came to Bombay. I stayed there for 2 years. There's a new Bombay High Court. Is a very, very prominent High Court. It's one of the leading High Courts of the country. It has produced giants in the legal field. I stayed there, worked there for 2 years. I was received well by the bar in Bombay, Mumbai. And then, with the blessings of Siddhi Vinayak, I proceeded to Telangana. There I stayed for 2 years, 1 year, almost 1 year as a PD judge at J1, and then as the Chief Justice of the High Court for the state of Telangana. After 2 years stint, with the blessings of Lord Venkateswara, I proceeded to Delhi, and right now I am in Delhi. So it's been some kind of a Bharat Darshan for me, from the east, far east, to the extremes west. From the west, I had come to the south, and from the south I have gone to the north. I remember I had met Justice Bobde. He's a former Chief Justice of India. I met him in Guwahati. He told me one thing, that if you want to be a good judge, you have to move out of your comfort zone. You have to move out of your parent high court and go to a new high court. In your parent high court, you are known to so many people that there is always a hidden, I won't call it pressure, but there is always hidden, a lot of permutations and combinations are at play. When you are in a different high court, you don't have to worry about that. You can concentrate on your judgments. That I always kept in mind. And then he also told me one thing, that Ujjal, your judgments are good, but I have noticed a trend that sometimes you tend to be a bit lengthy. Clients, litigants, they want to know the fate of their case. They don't want to read poetry or in your judgments. So your judgment should be very concise, precise, and so that people can understand. Thereafter, I have shortened my judgments. But sometimes occasion demands that when you have to express your views, it tends to be a bit lengthy. A judge particularly refrain from speaking on matters which are very, very contemporary. But things have changed. We have so many legislations in place where a judge has been made. For example, as Chief Justice of Telangana, I became the Chancellor of the Law University there. I had to go there. I had to attend the convocation. I had to speak. There the Indian Medical Association Hyderabad branch, they invited me to again speak on the rising incidence of attack on doctors. In big metros, this may not be a problem. In Bombay, it is not a problem. In Delhi, it is not an issue. But as you move into the smaller cities or in towns, this is a real threat faced by the doctors. Because of lack of medical knowledge, even if you may be literate in the sense that you have a degree, and there's a problem in India, you may not be medically aware, you may not be aware of medical requirements. Similarly, even if you may be a literate person, you may not be aware of the legal niceties, the Constitution of India, or how the judiciary in India functions. This is the problem in India. So coming back to the doctors, a patient dies, the hospital is ransacked, the doctors are beaten up. This is a real issue in several parts of the country. People were a bit immune to this because of a certain narrative. People think that medical science has become a money-spinning machinery. Doctors are more interested in money. It is not so. There are many, many doctors in this country who have dedicated their lives working in remote areas, working amongst villagers, working amongst most marginalized people. That's how the system survives. Unfortunately, in India, Tamil Nadu may be an exception. We do not give that much of importance to science and scientific temper. It's okay to be religious. We all believe in God. We are all religious. We started our program with a wonderful prayer by my young friend. It's fine. But we must always inculcate a scientific temper and a scientific thought process. Unless we inculcate that, we'll be infected with all kinds of superstitious thoughts. And this is happening in not only rural areas, even in urban areas also. People are treated by quacks, and at the end of it, when they don't see any improvement in the situation, the patient is brought to the doctor, and at the last moment, 11th hour, what the doctor can do? Despite the best efforts, the patient may not survive. And then the whole village or the whole area will come, ransack the hospital, beat up the doctor. So many states have brought in legislation to protect medical property and also the lives of the doctors. Initially, the lawyers were a bit immune to this. They thought that only doctors were beaten up for these things. In many states, we are now witnessing that disgruntled people are beating up lawyers, not only beating up lawyers, killing lawyers. So therefore, like the state of Rajasthan, they have brought in a law for protection of advocates. It has happened in telling that lawyers are being killed because of various disputes. They have been drawn into it. Constitution of India, which is our fundamental document, speaks about fundamental duties of citizens. And one of the fundamental duties of ours, each and every citizen, is to inculcate scientific temper. It is then only we can progress as a nation, as a society. It's a very worrisome situation that in India, the number of students studying pure science is decreasing. Science does not mean only going for engineering courses and medical courses. The pure science stream is not attracting that many students as it should attract. And this is a matter of great concern. Liberal arts, very essential. Pure science, equally essential. There must be both, and only then, as a country, we can progress. My young friends who are here, please take this opportunity. You are in a very good institution. You have good faculty members. Take the most of it. Build up your life. And as I said at the initial stage, shun prejudices. We have made tremendous progress. Our country has made tremendous progress. But still, there is a dark underbelly in our community. We have a lot of prejudices which is based on caste, the religion, gender, so many things, economic status. We try to stay away from this or steer our thought process away from this. But sometimes it is so ingrained in our mind that sometimes involuntarily it is reflected in what we say and what we do. So therefore, my young friends, my earnest appeal to you, try to try to cultivate a broad view of things, not be confined by very narrow parochial thinking, rise above caste, rise above narrow domestic walls, as the great poet used to say. India is a great country. Tamil Nadu is a great state. as a proud state of India, we must celebrate our diversity. Our unity lies in diversity. We must have an inclusive society where everybody can say that this is my country and I am proud of my country and the developments that has taken in my country. No country can flourish if significant populations of that country are left outside or are not treated with respect. Treat everybody with respect. My young friends, these are lessons which you will not find in the textbooks. As you evolve in life, you will gather this. It will come with experience as you move into the real world. Rise above narrow domestic walls. Try to look at things in a broader perspective. And the future belongs to you. But as Dr. Thangabedi has said, please strive for excellence. Striving for excellence and chasing perfection is not the same thing. It is always good and desirable that we must strive for excellence. But I would put in a caveat, never chase perfection. Perfection is like a mirage. You will never get perfection. Life is there's never a straight line. I come from the legal field. A perfect lawyer is yet to be born. A perfect judge is yet to be born in India. A perfect judgment is yet to be delivered. India's greatest judgment, we call it the watershed in our constitutional history. The judgment in the case of His Holiness Keshavananda Bharati. It's a great judgment. And this judgment, in one line I can say, this judgment says that you can amend our constitution. Any part of our constitution, that power of amendment is available to you, that of parliament. But you cannot amend the basic structure of our constitution. In the name of amendment, you cannot do away with certain things which are basic to our constitution and basic to us. Federalism, and the Supreme Court in that case kept it open. Rule of law, democracy, independence of the judiciary, federalism, so on and so forth. Even that judgment, it's a judgment by 13 judges of the Supreme Court, the highest ever in the history of the Supreme Court. 9 opinions were rendered. Great opinions, great in jurisprudential value. But there was no unanimity. What is the ratio of that judgment? If you look at it, you won't be able. You have to go through 200 pages here, 200 pages there. Ultimately, it was Justice H.R. Khanna who wrote one page, a summation of the judgment and circulated it, which was signed by all the judges. And this is how this theory of basic structure came about. We don't have much time. When we have time, we certainly can discuss about basic structure. It's a judgment. It's a hats off to the foresight of the judges of that time that they developed this concept, which has saved our constitution, which has saved our democracy, which has saved our country. Our constitution, I can speak only about the constitution because I'm a judge, I was a lawyer, but constitution is not meant only for judges and lawyers. The constitution is meant for everybody, every citizen of this country. Even now, as I read the constitution, several parts of the constitution, I feel that this document is way ahead of its time, even now. Imagine this Constitution of India, when it was framed or adopted by us in 1950, great men and women, they sat together in the Constituent Assembly under the chairmanship of Dr. Ambedkar, and they finalized this Constitution of India, which we adopted on 26 January 1950. It's a very progressive document. Wherever I go in a universities, I put a simple question to my student friends. Please tell me which part of the Constitution, there are 391 articles of the Constitution, 12 schedules. Which part of the Constitution, according to you, is the most important? Some would say right to life, right to liberty, some would say this, that. I told them that each part of the Constitution is important, no doubt about it. But the very essence of the Constitution is equality, and that is the key cornerstone of our Constitution. Equality between men and men, equality between men and women. This is the cornerstone of our Constitution. We have progressed a lot. The rights that we have developed, I told the same the other day in the court. The rights, the individual rights, the fundamental rights, Supreme Court is the sentinel, the vanguard of the protection of civil liberties and the rights. There can only be a progressive development of the law. The rights that have been developed so far, it can't be recoiled in a regressive judicial reasoning. Whatever we have developed, whatever we have achieved so far, it can only proceed ahead. It can go ahead only. So initially we said, Article 14, 15, 16, there said no discrimination on the basis of language, religion, caste, sex, so on and so forth. Now this has been, the word sex has been through judicial interpretation. Not only we have gone beyond gender, the binary of gender, men and women, it has evolved or developed into sexual orientation. You cannot discriminate anybody simply on the ground of his or her sexual orientation. So this is the gradual progression of the law. In 2015, in a historic judgment, Supreme Court declared that the eunuchs, whom in the streets of Delhi we call hijras, are human beings. They are citizens of this country. They have